Welcome back to the Lions Roar podcast, where we celebrate the stories, the people, and the heart of CBA in our Christian school. I'm your host, Dr. David Warren, and today we'll be diving into one of my absolute favorite traditions at Calvary, our Christmas Gifts for Christ Chapel. Every year, as many of you know, our school family comes together, and we take the opportunity to bless those who spend their lives blessing others. Oftentimes, it's a missionary family or some organization or agency that is ministering to people around the world or in their own community. Last year, if you remember, we worked with the Black Mountain Children's Home in North Carolina, a Christian organization that works with a lot of foster children and helps them out. And they had experienced the floods and all of the devastation from that. And so we were able to be a blessing to them and to their families in that organization. And this year, we're going to be doing something truly a little bit different. We're going to have a lot of people that we're going to have an opportunity to bless. And really our theme is from Matthew chapter 25 and verse 40, where it tells us, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." You know, a lot of times we think of that passage, the least of these, as speaking of perhaps those that are in need, but really it's speaking of those that are in the body of Christ that are serving those that are in need and serving those communities. And so we're going to spend our opportunity to bless others this year by blessing some organizations and some people who are blessing those in our community that have really some of the greatest needs. We're looking at some families that work with foster children. We have about 10 families that are working with different foster care agencies here in our state and are opening their homes to boys and girls that need the care there. We're going to be working with the Life Clinic, who we've partnered with in many different ways over the years, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But they serve the unborn and moms and dads who are in maybe an unplanned pregnancy or just need some services to support them as they begin the walk of a pregnancy and a new little one in their home. And so we're glad to work with them. And then, of course, Open Door Ministry, who works here in our community to help those that have maybe some financial need or some struggles there. And so they'll tell us a little bit about some of the services they offer right here in our community. And what's cool about all of these agencies and all of these families is they're doing this right here in our backyard. And so this isn't a need around the world, but it's a need right here in our own community. And so I think it's going to be great for our students and for our families together to be aware of these things, but also to be a blessing. And so I have 3 guests with me today. I have a representative from some of those foster families, Samantha. And then I have Christy with the Life Clinic, and then Sarah Lynn here with Open Door. And so we're going to talk to each of them, learn a little bit about them, a little bit about their ministry, and understand better how we can be a blessing with our Christmas Gifts for Christ Chapel. So ladies, thank you for joining me. I know it's a little bit logistics to get everybody here at the same time in the same place. So I appreciate you carving out some time in your schedules. And so Samantha, we'll start with you. And I know that you and your husband have some foster children in your home. Is that something that you've done for a little while now, or is it a new thing? Tell me a little bit about how you got into foster care and a little bit about your family.
We've been fostering a little over 2 years now. We actually just adopted our first placement last December, so they've been with us since June of 23. And then we have another 9-year-old daughter who's currently in care.
Okay.
And then a couple other kids in the house. We started fostering. We kind of just felt the call to foster. You know, the Bible's pretty clear about helping the orphans and widows, and we felt like that was a pretty easy thing to do. At home, we don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah,
like you said, I
don't know that I would use the term easy.
Right.
I think it's easy to recognize the calling and have the conviction, but it's definitely not easy to bring a child into your home. But I think that it's awesome that you had the heart to do that. So you said 2 years ago was when you had your first foster child. How many children did you have before that? What did the home look like before you brought foster children into your home?
So when we got our first placement, we had 3 teenagers and a 7-year-old.
Okay.
So our house was already pretty full.
Yeah.
And,
so it wasn't for a lack of having some kids around. And how old were your foster children in comparison to the age of the kids in your home?
They were 1 and 3 when they moved in. So Yeah, they were. We actually had talked about taking teenagers because we had mostly teenagers in our house, and we got the call for the 1 and 3-year-old, and we prayed about it.
Are they
talked about
siblings
it.
or are
Yeah.
they okay? So from the same family.
Yep.
And you've adopted one of them. How does that work if they're in the same family? If I can ask, like how
We
does,
adopted those two.
Both of them.
The first placement is what I
gotcha, first placement. That makes
Yep.
sense. So did you go into it knowing that adoption was an end goal or likelihood, or did it kind of progress? And is there a story there?
Yeah, originally we told the agency that we only wanted reunification. We wanted to be able to help the parents to get their kids back.
So reunification meaning for the people watching.
Yeah, reunification just means going back to their birth family or.
So it's a short-term care in the intermediate time period before that happens.
Yep.
Okay.
So that was our goal. We worked with the family. We do still keep in contact with some of their biological family.
Sure.
And so we really don't feel like it's over.
Yeah.
We still reach out a little bit and we talk to some of the family, and I feel like that's kind of our mission in this.
Yeah. So when you got into the idea of being a foster family, and now that you've done this, you probably know other families in the community that do that. And what would you say is the need as you're observing? I know you're not an agency, you're a foster family, but in your observation, what is the need for foster families in kind of this Tri-City area? Are there lots of kids that need foster care? Do they have enough foster families to care for the ones they have? Kind of what is the landscape there, would you say?
Sure. I don't know if I can speak to that as a whole, but I know from talking to our workers, a lot of the biggest needs are the big behavioral challenges and the teenagers that, they need a home without other siblings or a home that can provide a lot of intense care for them. So it's, not a call everybody can do, but so those higher needs kiddos are one of the biggest needs.
Yeah, when my sisters and I have two sisters, and I was the oldest. When my youngest sister went off to college and we left home, my parents became foster parents. And so they worked primarily with teenagers, which at that time, that was in the 1990s into 2000s. At that time, that was a bigger need. Like there were families that were willing to take younger kids, but not as many in that teenage kind of years. And so I have several relationships with some foster siblings, and my mom and my dad passed away a few years ago, but my mom still keeps in touch with several of them and has contact. So I'm a little aware of the program there and coming in and working with the families for reunification. And sometimes that goes on the timeline as you were told, and oftentimes it's the timeline you never know how it's going to go. And so. Yeah. Have you found that you have opportunities to minister? Obviously, it's adoption, so that changes everything. It's no longer foster care. Now you've adopted those children. But opportunities for the gospel, what does that look like in the foster care world?
The kids in our house, hear the gospel every day through, our family devotions and going to church and all of that. It really depends on their biological parents' wishes if they're allowed to go to church with us. We've been blessed with the two placements that we have, that their parents are open to that and willing to. We've gotten to have a little bit of discussion with some of their parents about.
Sure, I was going to ask that. Have you had opportunities for the gospel with moms and dads even?
Yeah, very limited because a lot of the access to talking to the parents is pretty limited.
Yeah.
But the opportunities that we've had, we've tried to take up.
Yeah. What would you say are the biggest challenges as a foster parent to your family when you have that you didn't expect? Maybe there's things that you maybe think ahead of time it's going to be like this, and you say this was a bigger challenge or a different challenge than I expected.
I think a lot of the behaviors that come from the kids who've experienced trauma, I kind of thought I've parented before. I can, it can't be that much different, and it is very different. You have this whole other family that they have attachment to, and so you have to deal with the feelings of loss and grief and recognize all that and also try and build that attachment.
Sure.
which is a lot harder for the older ones. The 9-year-old that we have is much harder to attach to than the younger ones, just because they came to us so young. Yeah. She didn't come to us till she was 7.
And you think they'll respond to both parenting, but also you're hoping they'll reciprocate your love for them, kind of a thing, and and yet there's still that sometimes that struggle and the natural desire towards their own biological mom and dad, and which is the way God created it, right? And so that you recognize that this is broken, and yet through Christ it can be redeemed. And so, I think we're looking at for Christmas Gifts for Christ. I think we have 9 or 10 families that we're working with to gift some different things. And I know a lot of the gifts were the obvious things. They were, items that kids would desire, like toys and clothes and fun things like that. But what are some of the other things? I know that for your own family, the list and the other families said some similar things, like experiences and stuff. Tell me about how that's a blessing and a help to families and the foster kind of group that's a little bit different when you have all those kids of different ages now in the same home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the attachment and the bonding is a big part of that. And so, some of the stuff that we asked for was like board games or water park passes, stuff like that, and being able to do those experiences.
Yeah, I think there was some
kids.
Splash Village or what's the one in Traverse City, the Great Wolf Lodge and things like that. And I'm sure that's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. And it really helps, fostering families because we've grown our family size. So being able to afford some of those experiences is a lot harder than it was before. And
you don't stay in one room with all,
Right.
I think one of the families maybe, I don't remember exact, but like 11 total once you add all the foster children and everything,
Yep.
I don't think they make an 11 room, room at the Great Wolf Lodge there. So you probably need a few of those. And that, like you said, it does add up. So it'll be fun to gift some of those adventures and trips and things to those families. So, well, we appreciate it. I think that it's a hard thing to be a recipient of something like this. I think it's easier for maybe the Life Clinic or Open Door because they're representing other groups of people where foster families coming in and saying, well, here's the things we would like and making those lists. It's a humbling thing. So we appreciate your grace and willingness to accept those gifts and to allow us to bless you in that way. And we hope it'll be fun. So on that Friday, we're looking forward to all the kids. And you ladies haven't been a part of it. Christy, we've had you guys before, so you've observed it.
Yes.
But it's a little overwhelming, the number of families that pour into it. So we're looking forward to blessing you guys. Christy, with the Life Clinic, Christy, we've known you for a little while at Calvary because you've had kids in our school that have come through and graduated, and so we've had that relationship. And then Calvary Baptist Church and Calvary Baptist Academy have worked with the Life Clinic quite a bit over the years. We were talking a little bit about we do the baby bottle campaign every year through the school, and so a lot of churches I know in our community do that, and we do that through our school. And the Faster Pastor Race, I was looking. That popped up on my feed here recently because it's been a few years since they had that. But
it is.
I don't remember exactly, but over the years, I think it's about $15,000 that we raised over over the multiple years, something in that realm. But that was a lot of fun, and I still am bummed I didn't win the race. That one year I should have won. Like I was leading the race. Remember that?
Should have. Yes.
The yellow flag, the whole thing, and then they restarted and they didn't line us up. And it's sad that I still am bitter about that.
Yes, we were cheering him on. He was doing great.
It was pretty funny. My dad afterwards, he was David. Remember though, that's not the point. It's to raise funds. I was I was so frustrated. What had just happened? Because your adrenaline's going. You're driving this car and want to win.
Yes.
But whatever. The right people won. Apparently, it was God's sovereignty, and the Life Clinic raised some money, and so that was fun.
Yes.
And so we really much appreciate the partnership there, and with all you do at the Life Clinic. Would you share with just our audience here a little bit about what are some of the services the Life Clinic does? I think most people have an assumption, and I think they only know maybe one part of the story. So if you would tell us a little bit about what the Life Clinic does and some of the services they offer.
Yes, we offer free and confidential services. So Start with the clinic. We offer free pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, STI testing and treatment, options education, doctor referrals. And then in our parenting education, we offer a program for our clients to receive education and earn points. And they're able to spend their points in the Blessing Boutique. The boutique is like a little shop where they get to go spend their points for diapers and wipes and baby supplies, even new car seats and pack and plays. It's well stocked from a
Nice.
very wonderful community.
Yeah, let's talk about the education piece for just a second. You say education, and some people might think you're talking about like continuing towards a degree or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about parent education, where they're learning how to parent,
Right.
learning how to take care of a little one that they are
Mm-hmm.
bringing into their home, what to expect. I remember when we were pregnant, you read, what to expect when you're expecting, and all
Right.
those books and things. So tell me a little bit about what are the things that they do learn through that education. When does it start, and how long does a client go through that program?
So it can start from the time they find out they're pregnant, and they can be in the program until their child is 3 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so the topics that we cover start during pregnancy, what's safe in pregnancy, first, second, third trimester. There's a lot of them in that category. Then we go into the first year, toddlers, parenting lessons, life skills. We have a fatherhood section for dads.
Yeah.
We
I
have
think a lot of people will be surprised to know that, right? It's not just
Right.
for the moms, but even the dads, there's
dads.
opportunity.
Yes, and we have both in-person and virtual appointments. So even for dads that are working during the day, we have opportunities for virtual appointments in the evenings.
Wow. And so then as they go through that, you mentioned they earn points, and that becomes kind of a cash, so to speak, that they can use
Sure.
at the boutique.
Right.
And they spend that to buy those items that they can use. But instead of just giving it to them, they have opportunity to earn it.
Right.
They learn and earn at the same time. So
Exactly.
that's awesome. Then you mentioned also those services during a pregnancy. I think that's what most people think of when they think of the Life Clinic, is maybe a young lady who's unexpectedly finds herself pregnant and she comes into the Life Clinic. What does that journey generally look like? If a client came in and they're a teenager or a young adult and they're scared, they're not sure what they want to do here, and they're being told in other circles that there's opportunities to terminate this pregnancy, and they walk into the Life Clinic to get some help with making that decision. What does that kind of look like?
Yes. So, first of all, we do serve anyone that walks in the door. So they're not all unsure of what they want to do.
Sure.
We're happy to, we're there to serve anyone in pregnancy with pregnancy test, ultrasounds. But for someone that is in crisis, not sure what to do, we're there to listen and to educate so that they can make an informed decision. We're there to let them know that there's resources to help them. And so, again, our services are free. They can get that ultrasound. They can get the information that they might not get somewhere else, because there's a lot to making that decision.
Yeah, for sure. So the ultrasound, that's not cheap. So I know that having those machines is a big deal.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about the statistics there. When a young lady comes in, finds out she's pregnant, has an ultrasound, what's the data say is the significance of that?
Well, the statistics say that over 80% of women would choose life after seeing their baby on a screen.
Yeah,
So
it's amazing.
it is. It really is. And we do send home some pictures with them from the ultrasound, and we have a monitor that they're able to see baby on the screen.
Yeah. And you have an ultrasound machine here in Midland.
We do.
Do you have one at each of the clinics, Saginaw, Bay City?
location.
So each location, that's great.
Yes.
And there are 3 locations currently.
Well, we're adding Mount Pleasant,
That's
so
what
we have 4 now.
I was giving you the segue because I knew it was
Yes.
coming. I didn't know that it was is it up and running yet?
As of January, they will be also
Okay.
Life Clinic.
And where is that one going to be located?
It's the current Life Choices in Mount Pleasant.
Where's that in Mount? I know it's in Mount Pleasant. Is that near the campus there, or is it?
It is. I'm not sure of their address.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So you'll have 4 organizations working as one, and
Yes.
and are those typically run by the same staff, or they have their own unique staff, or their nurses that travel? How does the staffing work for those?
Some of our medical team does travel a little bit. Different days open at different centers. but the parenting education staff remain in the locations that they're at.
Yeah. Well, we have done different things for the Life Clinic before, but this year we're doing a little bit different because we're going to be, sounds like, gifting your boutique. We're going to try to help fill up that Blessing Boutique. So I saw on the list that there were lots of things. What are the kind of biggest items that are needed in the Blessing Boutique there?
Right now, car seats and pack and plays were a couple of the big items because those things we give brand new, especially car seats. And then the bigger size diapers are something that we are really in need of right now. I guess. Yeah, the size 5 and 6.
Okay.
But then there are a lot of other things on the list too that are always helpful. Baby shampoo and diaper rash cream and
I saw
things like that.
Winter clothing
Yes.
and pajamas I saw was on the list.
And we have, because
Kids
we've
were really,
expanded.
I work with the senior class. Like I say
Okay.
seniors and people think older, 12th graders.
Right.
In my worldviews class. And this morning they were pretty pumped. The girls were to go shopping for baby clothes. So that was kind of,
Very
they
fun.
thought that was going to be fun. So
Yes.
that's pretty cool.
When we expanded to age 3, we had to go up to size 4T. So
Okay.
sometimes the 2T, 3T, 4T sizes are something we also are low on.
People generally do the lower size with the infant size for sure.
Right.
Well, I just ordered, so we're on the start. We'll see how it plays out, but I think we ordered initially 4 of the car seats and a number of pack and plays.
Wonderful.
So, yeah,
We really appreciate your support. Thank you.
That's only my one order. I know there's going to be a lot more people going on, but found a good deal and we ordered it up. So we're probably shouldn't tell you, there goes the surprise, right? But I think you gave us the list, so you know what it's going to look like. So, well, that's exciting. And the thing that we love about the Life Clinic and the reason that we're so excited to partner with you is because I say over and over, one, you save lives, literally physical lives, but also more importantly, spiritual lives. And the gospel is presented, and to see moms and dads hear the gospel and come to the gospel. And then the hope is and prayer is that as they raise that little one, if they've come to Christ, that little one will come to know Christ. And so you're saving lives, not just physically, but spiritually and for eternity. So we're excited to partner with you and look forward to blessing you guys.
Thank you.
And then we have Open Door. So Open Door is expanded their ministry in recent years because you have 2 facilities now. And how long has the Open Door been in our community, and then how long has the second facility been in existence?
Sure. We have been here for 50 years, believe it or not.
Wow.
Started originally as a coffee house. It was
Okay.
a couple ministers and a layperson who was concerned about what his son was doing.
Okay.
And so in the 70s, opened a coffee house with good music and good games and stuff, and eventually moved to Benson Street, which is no longer, under
Where is
Pizza
Benson
Sam.
Street?
It's where the Riverside Apartments are currently.
Okay.
And then purchased the property there on Buttle Street in the 80s.
Okay.
Started just for men originally and was all staffed by volunteers. So essentially what happened was people were locked in at night, and we kind of said, see ya, and hoped for good things, which
Okay.
of course is not always the best.
Sometimes some drama, maybe.
Exactly. And so when Renee Pettinger came, now it's been about 13 years ago, she started with the 24-hour staffing. She started
Okay.
with the case management and kind of gone from there. They did open a women's shelter on the back of that property on Indian Street originally, and then they moved out to Chippewa River Road. And about 3 years ago, we moved into the city, and that's right there
Okay.
on Eastman and Carpenter.
That's where I am familiar. I saw the sign there, so I knew that location had been there for a few years. But I didn't realize that it had come in from Chippewa River Road. So,
Yeah, it makes it a whole lot easier for our ladies because during the day, of course, our desire is for people to solve their homelessness.
Yep.
And so that's going to involve looking for jobs, going to the doctor, and court appointments and that kind of stuff. Much easier when you're in town.
yeah, that brings us to that big question. So what do you actually do? So you've been here for a while. You have these facilities and meeting some needs in our community. What are the needs you're meeting, and how are you meeting them? What is your target client, I guess you could, I don't know if you call them clients or friends in our community.
Sure, we call them our guests
Okay.
because our tagline right now is real hope for hurting people.
Yeah.
And so we desire to show biblical hospitality to the homeless, the hungry, and the hurting in our community. And we do that through being the homeless shelter in Midland County for both men and women and children,
Okay.
as well as we have the only soup kitchen in Midland County. So we serve a hot meal every day, Monday through Saturday, from 11:30 to 1:30, and that is available for anyone who needs a meal.
And how many do you serve? And you can use whatever statistics you use, because is it weekly, monthly, through the soup kitchen, through the meals, through housing, through other services? What does that look like?
Well, last year, we haven't quite finished this year, but last year we had over 12,000 nights of shelter to 238 individuals. So
Okay.
a lot of times people think Midland doesn't have homeless, but the 238 people that stayed with us that definitely beg to differ. And we served over 51,000 meals last year.
Wow. Wow. And so how do you primarily fund the Open Door ministry then?
The Open Door is entirely privately funded. So because the gospel is our main goal, is we believe that Jesus changes people. We don't want to lose that. And so we don't receive any government money, not from the state or the country. So what we do is pretty much it's churches, it's individuals, it's some of the foundations in town, some of the grants. But really our partners are people that are willing to say, I care about the people in crisis in our community, and I will give you $10 a month to care for people. And really those are the people that are loving other people.
That's great. So you mentioned the several hundred community members that stayed overnight. How many do you house in each of your homes on a night? How many beds do you have?
Our men's shelter has 20 beds and room for 22 for an emergency stay. So, and then our women's shelter has 28 beds. And again, we can do up to 36 for emergency stay, which means cots in the living room, essentially. The problem that we have is we are not handicapped accessible to the rate that we would like to be, because we operate out of old homes. So that's kind of in the future, we're looking toward needing to revamp that.
Sure. What's the average stay of somebody who comes into your facility? How many nights do they typically stay through and get services?
And that is growing. It used to be about 38, and in the last couple years, it's risen closer to 60 days.
Okay.
And part of that is housing in Midland County is difficult to come by for people in low-income situations. But while they're with us, again, there's case management available to talk with our guests about the things that everyone has issues with. Because you and I need to know where our housing is coming from. We need to know about our employment, our education, our health, our how we spend money. Because it's not just do I have it, how am I spending it? And we find that poverty of relationship is one of the biggest problems. Because if your house burned down today, I'm sure that there's a zillion people you could call. Well, our friends have run out of those people. And so we need to help them learn how to connect those relationships that they had before, or not cause the same problems in the future. And of course, then there's the spiritual aspect of things. Everybody believes something, and what they believe affects the way they live. And so if we can introduce them to the God of the universe, who loves them deeply and who wants to offer them things like love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, goodness, and self-control. Who doesn't want those things? That's the main goal, is to say Jesus loves you, and there's a plan that he has, and you can get on board with that.
Yeah, that's exciting. What does it look like for children? I know you have housing for men and for women. What do you see in the homes there with whether it's a dad or a mom that has a child with them? What does that look like, and how do you help those individuals?
Generally speaking, it is mothers with children.
Okay.
And our mothers that come in, they each have their individual rooms. So a family has their own room. And honestly, we have a lot of good moms, people that have been able to hang on to their children. And there's a lot of trauma that comes with homelessness. But we are desiring to help our moms keep their kids in school, first of all, to connect with places like Life Clinic for some of those family counseling and training opportunities. So, and then help them again to find a place to go after they're done at the open door.
Yeah. So how many in this past year, or maybe don't know exact number, but success stories, how many would you say you've been able to reach with the gospel, and what does that look like?
I think a lot of people come in with a general knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, it's kind of refining that knowledge and helping them learn to live according to it.
Sure.
And so I think that some of those numbers are hard to count.
Sure.
But what is exciting to see are people, even people that have gone through the foster care system, who had maybe a relationship with their parents or their foster parents that wasn't quite what it should have been. And maybe their foster parents took them to church, but now they've come back, they've gotten to be adults, and then they find themselves at the open door.
Reconnecting.
Yeah, and then they realize that maybe what I was told in my childhood or in my young adulthood, maybe it really does have some merit. And we've got one young lady that has just been such a beautiful success story of that. And to see her leave the shelter, find a place to live, but also say, I want to come back and make dinner for the ladies at the shelter, and I want to tell them what God is doing in my life.
That's awesome. What are the needs you have at the open door that community members, obviously we're going to be doing some things to be a blessing to the open door. What does that look like beyond just obviously financially cash, because you got to pay the bills? What are some of the other needs that a community can help out with?
I think if you think about what happens at your house, it happens at our house. So like right now it's cold and flu season. So we need things like tissues and
NyQuil.
Tylenol and NyQuil, non-alcoholic, please. We need things like coffee and coffee creamer. We go through a lot of coffee at this time of year. We need crazy things like pens and copy paper so that we can print people's files. So it's a wide variety of things that you would need to run your own household.
Okay. And do you have a food bank and clothing bank, or do you any of that for those that aren't, maybe some that are staying there, but even those in the community? What is that part of the services?
Sort of. We are not a food pantry. So we refer people to Caregiving Network or to call 211 or to talk to Pessy over at they're not the emergency food pantry. They're they've changed their names. But at the food pantry
network
in town. So we provide hot meals, but not food pantry items.
Okay.
We do have clothing.
Okay.
Midland is a very generous community, and so we have a whole trailer that gets filled pretty much once a month.
Okay.
And so that allows us to, when people in our community as well as guests at the shelter need something to provide for them.
Yeah.
One of the things that we need a lot of when it comes to clothing is jeans for men in smaller waist sizes. We tend to have problems with those. Tennis shoes and boots.
Okay.
And then at the opposite end, coats in the sizes that are extra large or above.
Okay.
So I don't know why the pants are small and the coats are big, but that's just the way it tends to run.
Okay. Maybe that's the new style.
I don't know.
I'm missing out. I don't know.
And then we also have bikes. If you have any community members who ever need bikes, we have them donated to us, preferably in usable condition, but then we work on them a little bit because the best form of transportation outside of your feet is pedal power.
Very good. Well, let me ask each of you before I close, and so we'll go around here. But what would you say in a summary version is a prayer request that we can share with our viewers and listeners for each of your ministries? We're looking forward to on next Friday having you in our Christmas Gifts for Christ Chapel and giving you some gifts, and that's always fun, and it's a kind of a burst of a blessing kind of a thing. But what's an ongoing prayer request that we can share and pray together about with each of your ministries right here in our community? So you were already kind of moving along, so we'll start with you, then we'll go to Samantha and Christy. You guys can have a few minutes to be prepared for that.
I think our biggest need right now is staffing.
Okay.
We have quite a few positions at every shift. So first, second, and third shift currently open at the women's shelter. We're looking for a women's shelter coordinator as well.
So what are the qualifications for someone who wants to take part in that? What would that look generally?
A women's shelter coordinator would be someone who has managerial experience to manage the team. Obviously, we want people who are firmly rooted in the gospel and can really work with women in crisis.
Sure.
And again, manage a team. And then for the first, second, and third shift workers, we call them our community life advisors.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing is a love for people. And then we also have a position open in the kitchen that's a part-time kitchen assistant.
Okay.
So you can't serve people without people. So that's a big need for us right now.
So those needs currently are on the women's side.
They are the shelter working is women's side, yes.
Okay.
So females.
Yeah. Very good. Smith?
I think the biggest prayer request for us and the other families I know is just wisdom in parenting differently than parenting usually looks, and also praying for the bio families of these kids that are put into care, that they would accept the resources that are available to them and be able to parent their kids, and for us to be able to work with them.
Yeah. Christy?
I think one of our biggest needs for staffing is nurse. We're looking for another nurse.
Okay.
That's hard to find.
Is that at the Midland location specifically, or okay?
Yes, just to help some of the travel, not to have so much travel, but also our volunteer positions are big commitments. But a parent advocate as a volunteer on Wednesday afternoons right now.
So those are the ladies or that meet with for the
right.
education
Our appointments
piece?
are one-on-one, so so they can build that relationship. So it would be a parent advocate volunteer.
Okay.
But a huge prayer request for the ministry is just that girls that need our services would come to us.
Yeah. They'd find you.
Yep.
Well, we really appreciate each of the organizations you represent. And, I think when we think of our community, you mentioned that people don't think there are homeless people in Midland necessarily. And, sometimes we think inside of our community that there aren't as many needs as there might be in an inner city community like Flint or Saginaw or Detroit or something like that. And while there may not be as many, our population is less, there are still plenty of people that have need. There are plenty of boys and girls that are in crisis situations in their home that need foster care, and there are plenty of young ladies and young men that are finding themselves in pregnancy situations that are looking for the services that Life Clinic provides. And you already told us the numbers, so they don't lie, that there are people that need housing and need education and care to help them find their next steps forward in life. And so we're thankful that you're there, and we're privileged to partner with you. And that's really how we see it. We're not saving the day by any means. We're just offering a little bit of support to help you keep doing what you're doing, and we're thankful for you. And so we're excited about Christmas Gifts for Christ next Friday. So moms and dads, you should have those lists coming home already, and pray about how the Lord might lead you to give to help with this. And you've been very generous over the years, and I know that won't be any different this year. I do want to encourage you, moms and dads, with your kids, to have them take part in this, not just by bringing your family's donation in, but give them some opportunities to earn that money and to give of their own blood, sweat, and tears, so to speak, towards the project. It's much more meaningful when they've earned this. My son last week cleaned off the deck when it snowed. I didn't know it needed to be cleaned off, but he said he was going to go out there and work on that. And he worked for a good almost 2 hours out in the cold and the snow. And he earned some money. And so he has some money to give towards Christmas Gifts for Christ. And we'll give him some other opportunities as well. But I just think it's more meaningful when they're invested versus just handing them the money that they're going to give for that. So as you're able, encourage them. We know that everybody can't give as much as the next person, so you pray about how the Lord will lead you, and there's lots going on at Christmas, but we thank you for the generosity, and it really is fun as we pool our resources together to be a blessing in this way. And so we'll be back again here in not too long for another episode of the Lions Roar podcast. But for now, I trust that if you found your way here, that it wasn't by accident. And I know we say it every time, and you watch all of these things, but really, I would encourage you to like and subscribe If you subscribe, you'll make sure that you don't miss out on the episodes. You know that they're coming out because you'll get notified. And really, when you like and share this, it does let more people know what's going on at our school, what's going on in our community. And so the biggest way that the algorithms let people know that we're here is when you are sharing it. And so we appreciate that. So like and subscribe and share this. And this has been one more episode of the Lions Roar podcast. Not quite the last episode of 2025. We'll have at least one more, and then we'll be on to 2026. Can't believe the year's rolling along like that. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.